A lot of times, you got to think about the question of the passage about heaven and earth. Has heaven and earth passed or not? So I was thinking about this the other day, thinking of how you can explain this. And what I've come up with is this. If a person was to work on the Sabbath day, would you put that person to death? And the answer is no, you would not today. But you would underneath of Old Covenant Israel. When the Torah was in effect, when the law was in effect, you could put a man to death for working on the Sabbath. I think in John 5, Jesus heals a man, says to him, pick up your bed and walk, and he gets pressed by the Jewish authority structure. The man gets pressed because he's carrying a mat on the Sabbath day, which is not lawful to do. You could put a person to death for that. In Numbers 15, they kill a man for doing a little bit of work, picking up sticks, I think it says, on the Sabbath day. They kill a man for it. So, I mean, it's a statute in the law. They definitely even do it in Numbers 15. That doesn't exist today. There's no authority structure that's going to put a person to death for breaking the Sabbath. There hasn't been one that's existed for 2,000 years. That's the passage of heaven and earth. You see, you live in a time period where that doesn't exist. But in Jesus' day, that was a reality. In the people that lived in the New Testament's day, that was a reality. A place like that actually existed. It was right there in Jerusalem. That is not the reality today. That's the passage of heaven and earth. That authority structure ended at the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD. That's the passage of heaven and earth, you see. The temple. Today, the temple is us. We're the believers. That's the temple. But in the past, there was an actual physical building that had to be maintained. People worked at it. Sacrifices were being done there. Priesthood and everything is in full effect. The maintenance and doing of the work of the temple at one time actually took place in an actual physical building. Being that that is not the case anymore, and the temple is now us. Don't you see that the very institutions that were in place for that don't apply anymore? Because there is no physical building, there is no physical place, there is no physical dwelling place of God on the earth that you can touch. You know, it's us. It's not tangible. So the very elements that governed the physical can no longer exist. They don't work, and that's the reason. That's the passage of heaven and earth. You see, you know. I sometimes try to explain that the law still exists, but it's like an essence of the law. The law itself doesn't exist anymore, though. Put it like this. In the law, it says that when you're picking olives off the olive tree, to leave some there for the poor person that's there so they can come through and pick it up. Now, that had a literal application. The person really, really did that. People really did that. You don't do this today. Anything you do is a different thing than the actual reality of what it said, because it's talking about a land that, one, you don't live in, and it's talking about a time that's over. It's gone. They don't do that anymore. But what's the essence of the teaching? The essence is that the Most High has a care and a love for the poor. You know, so you see that care for the poor, okay? You see that represented with in the New Testament with Jesus' teachings as well. So it's the essence of the law is there. The essence from the law is there, but the actual physicalness of it is gone. It doesn't apply. It wouldn't apply to us anyway because we live in America. So, I mean, that's the difficulty. That's why I try to say the law passed. The law's over. What do you do with this kind of reality? That's the difficulty that I have.